Today, we will follow one of the stories of the revered and notorious vampire slayer, Blade.
Right.
Blade, the vampire who walks with the sun, has to stop New York's friendly neighborhood Spiderman, who has now become a vampiric pawn. The Daywalker has a great history of kicking vampire ass, but nothing has really emphasized just how good a vampire he is like in between the pages of Blade Volume 4, Issue 1. In this volume, Blade actually goes toe-to-toe with our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, who has become a creature of the night. We're talking fangs and everything. So how is Blade going to handle the web-slinging bloodsucker? A stake through the heart? Does he look for a cure? A vampire Spider-Man has got to be far superior to a regular vampire, right? Well, these answers start to rise from the pages of Blade Issue 1. The fight between Blade and Vampire Spider-Man took center stage in this comic book, so much in fact that the issue begins with them getting right to the action. "I don't know, Parker, your wife might not approve of this new look of yours." Those were the very first words that come out of Blade's mouth as he tries to fend off the vampirized Spider's assault. Usually, you'll get this kind of snarky commentary from Spidey, but, turning into a vampire definitely comes with some personality alterations. This monstrous version of the web slinger would make short work of a whole lot of people, but not our premier vampire slayer. Blade was able to match Spidey's enhanced strength and agility thanks to his own vampiric gifts. "I might not look it, Peter, but I'm a big fan, so believe me when I tell you I'm real sorry about this," the Daywalker said as he incapacitated vampire Peter by shooting him in the knees with a silver bullet. Damn. The vampire hunter made the decision to spare Spidey's life instead of his usual merciless executions, so maybe he is a true fan. "I know it hurts like a mother Parker, but it's better than a stake through the heart, which is my other option." But as Blade is about to make his clean getaway with Spidey, a voice emerges from the shadows saying, "You should have staked him, Dampier. A vampire is a very dangerous enemy, one that should be killed when given the first opportunity." Count Dracula makes his debut, and from the looks of things, he's the puppet master behind this whole situation. Only the Prince of Darkness himself could possibly turn Spider-Man into a vampire, so Peter was probably only a pawn in both these characters' long-standing blood feud. Well, Blade now has to turn his attention to Dracula freaking Tepes. "So how many times do I have to put you in the ground?" Blade asks a pretty demeaning question like he's getting irritated by their encounters. "Don't worry, the last time was the last time," the Count replied in defense. The undead patriarch of the vampire family quickly grabs his arch-nemesis by the throat, moving in for the killing blow. But Blade's been through this one time too many, so he had a trick up his sleeve, or should we say his boot. Shunk! Out comes a wooden stake from the tip of Blade's boot, and he sends a kick straight through the chest of the villain, piercing his heart. Sure doesn't look like the last time to me. Thanks for the advice, by the way. And in only a matter of, seconds, Blade had successfully taken out two vamps that would have brought all of NYC to its knees, and he did all that pretty much without breaking a sweat. This is all just the beginning to a much bigger toothache, unbeknownst to Blade, for a bigger revolution would soon unearth itself. After taking down two powerful vampires, the epic vampire hunter decides to take a walk around the public school, only to come across a bunch of kids holding their teacher down. But plot twist, these kids have also become vampire minions. "Kids, let the teacher go," Blade said. Now, how do you fight and probably even kill a bunch of vampire kids? Well, they were all coming for the Daywalker, and he had to figure something out quickly. But we're never shown what Blade does with the kids. The next scene skips ahead to him talking to a bunch of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents about whatever eventually happened. "So, do you want to tell me what happened?" asks S.H.I.E.L.D.'s Clay Quartermain. Blade ends up giving another pretty vague explanation. Did he just kill hundreds of vampire kids? Yikes. Spider-Vamp was also with them, but why in hell did he kill all those kids but spare Spidey? Well, we're about to get our answer pretty soon. Peter was strapped and being transported by S.H.I.E.L.D. agents when Clay asked, "What about this guy?" "Spider-Man's got radioactive blood," Blade answered. "It'll kill the enzymes responsible for his conversion." Yep, that makes a lot of sense. And that's more reason why Blade's staying on top of the vampire hunting game for a long while. Speaking of people on top of their game, if you want to be on top of your comic book game, you gotta like, comment, and subscribe. S.H.I.E.L.D. had analyzed the entire site and was transporting Dracula's body to the Helicarrier when Blade noticed something off with the troopers who were on site. What unit are those assault troopers with? But was this anything more than an awfully timed gut feeling? Whatever that was, it sure didn't stop him from getting on the Helicarrier, though. Knock, knock. Baker, you in there? You missed the shift change again, man. Baker, open up! Christ on a crutch, Baker! It's not like I don't have an override code for the freaking door. Upon entering the room, all he saw was Baker's body on the floor with a stake right through his chest and one man standing over his dead body. Baker's been retired. As it turns out, Blade's gut feeling was right on point. The Helicarrier had been overrun by vampires with just one goal: resurrecting their supreme overlord, Count Dracula. Well, that would have worked out just fine if they didn't bring Blade on board. As the vampire scientists worked on resurrecting Dracula, Blade burst into the lab. Immediately, both vampire scientists whipped out their knives, and now it's on. "Make you what you deal. Tell me what you're doing with Dracula's body, and I'll make it quick," Blade said as he sent one of the vampires flying across the room. "Your offer is declined, Dampierre." They were definitely not going to budge that easy. Both vampires got the better of the Daywalker and sent him flying straight out the lab's windows. Literally every single agent on the Helicarrier was a vampire. Just as it seemed like Blade was about to be overwhelmed, he pulled another reckless stunt. Boom! Went the Helicarrier. Well, there was no way he could slay them all in a fight, so he did the next best thing. He blew the entire Helicarrier sky high with himself still in it. "Delight!" the vampires yelled as they were all burnt to a crisp. While they yelled and burnt, Blade kept up the Lord's work, shooting them all. Just making sure. Silver bullets. Sure, they're expensive, but they're worth every penny. As the vampires were seeking their final days, one proclaimed that this would be a short-lived victory for Blade and gave him an ominous warning that they were everywhere, in high positions all over, and having heard enough, Blade stakes him through the heart. After making sure every single vampire is toast, he hops out of the Helicarrier strapped to a parachute. Right before the end of the issue, we're taken to a gathering of men in suits sipping their champagne. "We don't lack the way, Senator, we lack the will. Our hands are not tied by the lack of technology, but by the lobbyists preventing its implementation, and I think that—" "Excuse me for a moment, would you?" said a man named Lucas Cross as he was called aside by someone else. "CSU couldn't locate the subject or the item at the crash site," said the unidentified man to Lucas Cross. "They went over every inch, every centimeter. These guys are Quantico trained, the best in the world." Cross then asked, could Dracula have survived, removed the item himself? The unidentified man replied, "Conceivably, but our theory of the case posits a different suspect. This is everything we have on him, FBI, SHIELD, and Interpol," before handing him a file probably filled with intel on Blade. But Lucas Cross wasn't too impressed. "This isn't necessary. I doubt there's anything in these files that could tell me something I didn't already know about my son." Now the story gets deeper. But what does Blade's father have to do with Dracula? It seems the fangs of these vampires are biting deeper into the neck of the city.